Have you seen all that this people are doing to me? That the evils which these 2 tribes which remained have done are greater than those of the 10 tribes which were carried away captive? For the former tribes were forced by their kings to commit sin, but these 2 of themselves have been forcing and compelling their kings to commit sin. For this reason, behold, I will bring evil upon this city and upon its inhabitants, and it shall be removed from before me for a time, and I will scatter this people among the other nations, that they may do good to the other nations, and my people shall be chastened, and the time shall come when they will seek for the posterity of their times. Chapter 2. For I have said these things to you, that you may bid Yirmiyahu and all those that are like you to retire from this city. For your works are to the city as a firm pillar, and your prayers as a strong wall. Chapter 3. And I said, O Yahuah, my Adonai, have I come into the world for this purpose, that I might see the evils of my mother? Not so, my Adonai. If I have found favor in your sight, first take my Ruach, that I may go to my fathers, and not behold the destruction of my mother. For 2 things vehemently constrain me, for I cannot resist you, and my soul, moreover, cannot behold the evils of my mother. But one thing I will say in your presence, O Yahuah, what therefore will there be after these things? For if you destroy your city and deliver up your land to those that hate us, how shall the name of Yashar'Al be again remembered? Or how shall one speak of your praises? Or to whom shall that which is in your Torah be explained? Or shall the world return to its nature of aforetime, and the age revert to primeval silence? And shall the multitude of souls be taken away, and the nature of man not again be named? And where is all that which you did say to Moshe regarding us? Chapter 4. And Yahuah said unto me, this city shall be delivered up for a time, and the people shall be chastened during a time, and the world will not be given over to oblivion. Do you think that this is the city of which I said, on the palms of my hands have I graven you? This building, not built in your midst, is not that which is revealed with me, that which was prepared beforehand here from the time when I took counsel to make a paradise, and showed it to Adam before he sinned. But when he transgressed the commandment, it was removed from him, as also paradise. And after these things I showed it to my servant Abraham by night among the portions of the victims. And again also I showed it to Moshe on Mount Sinai, when I showed to him the likeness of the tabernacle and all its vessels. And now behold, it is preserved with me, as also paradise. Go therefore and do as I command you. Chapter 5. And I answered and said, so then I am destined to grieve for Sion, for your enemies will come to this place and pollute your sanctuary, and lead your inhabitants into captivity, and make themselves to be Adonai of those whom you have loved. And they will depart again to the place of their idols, and we will boast before them. And what will you do for your great name? And Yahuah said unto me, my name and my esteem are unto all eternity, and my judgment shall maintain its right in its own time. And you shall see with your eyes that the enemy will not overthrow Sion, nor shall they burn Yerushalayim, but be the ministers of the judge for the time. But do go and do whatsoever I have said unto you. And I went and took Yirmiyahu and Adu and Seryahu and Yavish and Gadolyahu, Gadol Yahuah has become great. And all the honorable men of the people, and I led them to the valley of Kidron, and I narrated to them all that had been said to me, and they lifted up their voice, and they all wept, and we sat there and fasted until the evening. Chapter 6. And it came to pass on the morrow that, lo, the army of the Qadashayim surrounded the city, and at the time of the evening I, Baruk, left the people and went forth and stood by the oak. And I was grieving over Sion and lamenting over the captivity which had come upon the people. And lo, suddenly a strong Ruach raised me and bore me aloft over the wall of Yerushalayim. And I beheld, and lo, 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the city, each of them holding a torch of fire in his hand. And another angel began to descend from the Shamayim and said unto them, Hold your lamps, and do not light them till I tell you. For I am first sent to speak a word to Haaretz, and to place in it what Yahuwah Sevaot has commanded me. And I saw him descend into the Kodesh of Kodeshes, you know, the innermost part of the temple, and take from thence the veil, and the Kodesh ark, and the mercy seat, and the 2 tables, and the Kodesh raiment of the priests, and the altar of incense, and the 48 precious stones wherewith the priest was adorned, and all the Kodesh vessels of the tabernacle. And he spoke to the earth with a loud voice. Earth, 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 hear the word of El Elohim, and receive what I commit to you, and guard them until the last times, so that when you are ordered, you may restore them, so that strangers may not get possession of them. Oh my goodness. Guard them until the last times, so that when you are ordered, you will restore them. Can you think of a prophecy that's in end times where the dead are raised?
Don't ask me what it says or where it's at.
Right?
But yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it's in Revelation.
Yeah.
For the time comes when Yerushalayim also will be delivered for a time, until it is said that it is again restored forever. And Haaretz opened up its mouth and swallowed them up. Chapter 7.
That happens in the wilderness too, right?
Yeah, 3,000 in the wilderness. And after these things I heard that angel say unto those angels who held the lamps, Destroy therefore and overthrow its walls to its foundations, lest the enemy should boast and say, We have overthrown the wall of Zion, and we have burnt the place of Al Elohim, and you have seized the place where I have been standing before. Chapter 8. Now the angels did as he had commanded them, and when they had broke up the corners of the walls, a voice was heard from the interior of the temple, after the wall had fallen, saying, Enter, ye enemies, and come, ye adversaries, for he who kept the house has forsaken it. And I, Baruk, departed, and it came to pass after these things, that the army of the Qadashayim entered and seized the house, and all that was around it. Qazdim, the Qazdim, or descendants of Chesed, also an astrologer, as if proverbial of that people. Yah brought the wicked for judgment. And they led the people away captive, and slew some of them, and bound Sidkiyahu, right of Yahuah, the king, sent him to the king of Babel. Chapter 9. And I, Baruk, came, and Yirmiyahu, whose heart was found pure from sins, who had not been captured in the seizure of the city, and we rent our garments, we wept and mourned and fasted 7 days. Chapter 10. And it came to pass after 7 days that the word of Elohim came to me and said unto me, Tell Yirmiyahu to go and support the captivity of the people of Babel, but do remain here amid the desolation of Sion, and I will show to you after these days what will befall at the end of days. And I said to Yirmiyahu, as Yahuah commanded me, and he indeed departed with the people. But I, Baruk, returned and sat before the gates of the temple, and I lamented with the following lamentation over Sion, and said, Baruk is he who was not born, or he who having been born has died. But as for us who live, woe unto us, because we see the affliction of Sion, and what has befallen Jerusalem. I will call the sirens from the sea, and it's capitalized. And ye lilin, come ye from the desert, woe. And ye Sheddaim, it's a demonic Ruach Hakodesh. And also you have dragons from the forest. Awake and gird up your loins unto morning, and take up with me this dirges, and make lamentation with me. Wow, so they're allowing the wicked to come in. The wicked Ruach Hakodesh, or demonic entities. Ye husbandmen, sow not again, and O earth, wherefore give you up your harvest fruits? Keep within you the sweets of your sustenance. So now this is going to be like famine, too. And ye vine, why further do you give your wine? For an offering will not again be made in Sion, nor will the first fruits again be offered. And do you, O heaven, Shamayim, withhold your dew, and open not the treasuries of rain, and then a drought? And do, O sun, withhold the light of your rays, and do, O moon, extinguish the multitude of your light? For why should light rise again, where the light of Sion is darkened? And you, ye bridegrooms, enter not in, and let not the birds adorn themselves with garlands. And ye women, pray not that ye may bear. For the barren shall above all rejoice, and the sons who have no sons shall be glad, and those who have sons shall have anguish. For why should they bear in pain, only to bury in grief? Or why again shall mankind have sons? Or why should the seed of their kind again be named, where this mother is desolate, and her sons are led into captivity? For this time forward, speak not of beauty, and discourse not of gracefulness. Moreover, ye priests, take ye the keys of the sanctuary, and cast them into the height of Shamayim, and give them to Yahuah, and say, Guard your house yourself, for lo, we are found false stewards. And you, ye virgins, who weave fine linen and silk with gold and of Ophir, take with haste all these things, and cast them into the fire, that it may bear them to him who made them, and the flames send them to him who created them, lest the enemy get possession of them. Chapter 11. Moreover, I, Baruk, say this against you, Babel. If you had prospered, and Sion had dwelt in her esteem, yet the grief to us had been great, that you should be equal to Sion. But now, lo, the grief is infinite, and the lamentation measureless, for lo, you are prospered, and Sion desolate. Who will be judged regarding these things, or to whom shall we complain regarding that which has befallen us? O Yahuah, how have you borne it? Our fathers went to rest without grief, and lo, the righteous sleep in the earth in tranquility, for they knew not this anguish, nor yet had they heard of that which had befallen us. Would that you had ears, O earth, and that you had a heart, O dust, that you might go and announce in Sheol, and say to the dead, Baruk are ye more than we who live. Chapter 12. But I will say this as I think, and I will speak against you, O land, which are prospering. The noonday does not always burn, nor do the rays of the sun constantly give light. Do not expect and hope that you will always be prosperous and rejoicing, and be not greatly uplifted and boastful. For assuredly, in its own season, shall the divine wrath awake against you, which now in long suffering is held in as it were by rains. And when I had said these things, I fasted 7 days. Chapter 13. And it came to pass after these things that I, Baruk, was standing up upon Mount Sion, and lo, a voice came from the height and said unto me, Stand upon your feet, Baruk, and hear the word of all Elohim. Because you have been astonished at what has befallen Zion, you shall therefore be assuredly preserved to the consummation of the times, that you may be for a testimony. So that if ever those prosperous cities say, Why has Al Elohim brought upon us this retribution? Say unto them, You and those like you, who shall have seen this evil, this is the evil and retribution which is coming upon you and upon your people in its destined time, that the nations may be thoroughly smitten. And then they shall be in anguish. And if they say at that time, For how long? You will say to them, Ye who have drunk the stained wine, drink ye also of its dregs. The judgment of the lofty one, who has no respect of persons. On this account he had aforetime no mercy on his own sons, but afflicted them as his enemies because they had sinned. Then therefore were they chastened, that they might be sanctified. But now, ye peoples and nations, you are guilty, because you have always trodden down the earth, and used the creation unrighteously. For I have always benefited you, and you have always been ungrateful for the beneficence. Ungrateful. Chapter 14. And I answered and said, Lo, you have shown me the method of the times, that which shall alter these things. And you have said unto me, And I answered and said, Lo, you have shown me the method of the times, and that which shall alter these things. And you have said unto me that the retribution which has been spoken of by you shall come upon the nations. And now I know that those who have sinned are many, and they have lived in prosperity and departed from the world. The few nations will be left in those times, to whom those words shall be said which you did say, For what advantage is there in this, or what evil worse than what we have seen befall us, or are we to expect to see? But again I will speak in your presence. What have they profited who had knowledge before you, and have not walked in vanity as the rest of the nations, and have not said to the dead, Give us life, but always feared you, and have not left your ways, and lo, they have been carried off, nor on their account have you had mercy on Sion. And if others did evil, it was due to Sion, that on account of the works of those who wrought good works, she should be forgiven, and should not be overwhelmed on account of the works of those who wrought unrighteousness. But who, O Yahuah, my Adonai, will comprehend your judgment? Or who will search out the profoundness of your way? Or who will think out the weight of your path? Or who will be able to think out your incomprehensible counsel? Or who of those that are born has ever found the beginning of the or end of your wisdom? For we have all been made like a breath. For as the breath ascends involuntarily, and again dies, so it is with the nature of men, who depart not according to their own will, and know not what will befall them in the end. For the righteous justly hope for the end, and without fear depart from this habitation, because they have with you a store of works preserved in treasuries. On this account also, these without fear leave this world, and trusting with joy, they hope to receive the world which you have promised them. But as for us, woe to us, who also are now shamefully entreated, and at the time look forward only to evils. But you know accurately what you have done by means of your servants. For we are not able to understand that which is good, as you are our Creator. But again I will speak in your presence, O Yahuah my Adonai. When of old there was no world with its inhabitants, you did devise and speak with a word, and forthwith the works of creation stood before you. And you did say that you would make for your world man as the administrator of your works, that it might be known that he was by no means made on account of the world, but the world on account of him. And now I see that as the world which was made on account of us, lo, it abides, but we, on account of whom it was made, depart. Chapter 15. And Yahuah answered and said unto me, You are rightly astonished regarding the departure of man, but you have not judged well regarding the evils which befall those who sin. And as regards that what you have said, that the righteous are carried off, and the impious are prospered. And as regards what you have said, man knows not your judgment. On this account hear, and I will speak to you, and hearken, and I will cause you to hear my words. Man would not rightly have understood my judgment unless he had accepted the Torah, and I had instructed him in understanding. But now, because he transgressed wittingly, yea, just on the ground that he know, therefore he shall be tormented. And as regards what you say in touching the righteous, that on account of them has the world come, so also again shall that which is to come on their account. For this world is to them a strife and a labor with much trouble, and that accordingly which is to come, a crown of great esteem. Chapter 16. And I answered and said, O Yahuah my Adonai, lo, the years of this time are few and evil. Who is able in his little time to acquire that which is measureless? Chapter 17. And Yahuah answered and said unto me, With El Shaddai account is not taken of much time, nor a few years. For what did it profit Adam that he lived 930 years and transgressed that which he was commanded? Therefore, the multitude of time that he lived did not profit him, but brought death and cut off the years of those who were born from him. And wherein did Moshe suffer loss? In that he lived only 120 years, and insomuch as he was subject to him who formed him, brought the Torah to the seed of Yaakov, and lighted a lamp for the nation of Yashar'Al. Chapter 18. And I answered and said, He that lighted has taken from the light, and there are but few that have imitated him. But those many whom he has lighted have taken from the darkness of Adam, and have not rejoiced in the light of the lamp. Chapter 19. And he answered and said unto me, Wherefore at that time he appointed for them a covenant, and said, Behold, I have placed before you life and death. And he called heaven and earth to witness against them, for he knew that his time was but short. But the Shamayim and Harats endure always. But after his death they sinned and transgressed, though they knew that they had the Torah reproving them, and the light in which nothing could err, also the spheres which testify me. Now regarding everything that is, it is I that judge, but do not take counsel in your soul regarding these things. nor afflict yourself because of those which have been. For now it is consummation of time that shall be considered, whether of business or of posterity, or of shame, and not the beginning thereof. Because if a man be prospered in his beginnings, and shamefully entreated in his old age, he forgets all the prosperity that he had. And again, if a man is shamefully entreated in his beginnings, and at his end is prospered, he remembers not again his evil entreatment, and again hearken, though each one were prospered all the time from the day in which death was decreed against those who transgress, and in his evil was destroyed. In vain would have been everything. Chapter 20. Therefore, behold, the days come, and the time shall hasten more than the former, and the season shall speed on more than those that are past, and the years shall pass more quickly than the present years. Therefore have I now taken away Zion, that I may the more speedily visit the world in its season. Now therefore hold fast in your heart everything that I command you, and seal it in the recesses of your mind. And then I will show you the judgment of my might, and my ways which are unsearchable. Go therefore and sanctify yourselves 7 days, and eat no bread, nor drink water, nor speak to anyone. And afterwards come to that place, and I will reveal myself to you, and speak true things with you. And I will give you commandment regarding the method of the times, for they are coming and tarry not. 21. And I went thence, and sat in the valley of Kidron, in the cave of Charetz, and I sanctified my soul there, and I ate no bread, yet I was not hungry, and I drank no water, yet I thirsted not, and I was there till the 7th day, as he had commanded me. And afterwards I came to that place where he had spoken to me, and it came to pass at sunset that my soul took much thought, and I began to speak in the presence of all Elohim, and said, O you that have made Charetz, hear me, that have fixed the expanse by your word, and have made firm the height of the Shemaim by the Ruach, that have called from the beginning of the world that which did not yet exist, and they obey you. You that have commanded the air by your nod, and have seen those things which are to be, and those things which you are doing. You that rule with great thought the hosts that stand before you, also the countless Kodesh beings which ye did make from the beginning, or flame and fire which stand round about your throne. Ye rule with indignation. To you only does this belong, that you shall do forth with whatsoever you wish, who cause the drops of rain to rain by number upon Charet, and alone know the consummation of the times before they come. Have respect unto my prayer, for you alone are able to sustain all who are, and those who have passed away, and those who are to be, those who sin, and those who are righteous as living and being past finding out. For you alone do live immortal, and past finding out, and know the number of mankind. And if in time many have sinned, yet others, not a few, have been righteous, you know where ye preserve the end of those who have sinned, or the consummation of those who have been righteous. For if there were this life only, which belongs to all men, nothing could be more bitter than this. For of what profit is strength that turns to sickness, or fullness of food that turns to famine, or beauty that turns to ugliness? For the nature of man is always changeable. For what we were formerly, now we no longer are, and what we now are, we shall not afterward remain. For if a consummation had not been prepared for all, in vain would have been their beginning. But regarding everything that comes from you, do inform me, and regard everything about which I ask you, do enlighten me. How long will that which is corruptible remain, and how long will the time of mortals be prospered? And until what time will those who have transgressed in the world be polluted with much wickedness? Command therefore in mercy and accomplish all that you said you would bring, that you might be made known, that your might may be made known to those who think that your long-suffering is weakness, and show to those who know not that everything that has befallen us and our city until now has been according to the long-suffering of your power, because on account of your name you have called us a beloved people. Bring to an end thence, therefore henceforth mortality, and reprove according to the angel of death, and let your esteem appear, and let the might of your beauty be known, and let Sheol be sealed, so that from henceforth it may not receive the dead, and let the treasures of souls restore those which are enclosed in them. For there have been many years like those that are desolate from the days of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and of all those who are like them, who sleep in charets, on whose account you did say that you had created the world. And now quickly show your esteem, and do not defer what has been promised by you. And when I had completed the words of this prayer, I was greatly weakened. Chapter 22. And it came to pass after these things that, lo, the Shamaim were opened, and I saw a power was given to me, and a voice was heard on high, and it said unto me, Baruk, Baruk, why are you troubled? He who travels by a road, but does not complete it, or who departs by sea, but does not arrive at port, can he be comforted? Or he who promises to give a present to another, but does not fulfill it, is it not robbery? Or he who sows charets, but does not reap its fruit in its season, does he not lose everything? Or he who plants a plant, unless it grows till the time suitable to it, does he who planted it expect to receive fruit from it? Or a woman who has conceived, if she bring forth ultimately, does she not assuredly slay her infant? Or he who builds a house, if he does not roof it and complete it, can it be called a house? Tell me that first. Chapter 23. And I answered and said, Not so, Yahuah my Adonai. And he answered and said unto me, Why therefore are you troubled about that which you know not? And why are you ill at ease about the things in which you are ignorant? For as you have not forgotten the people who now are and those who have passed away, so I remember those who are appointed to come. Because when Adam sinned and death was decreed against those who should be born, then the multitude of those who should be born was numbered. And for that number a place was prepared where the living might dwell and the dead might be guarded. Before therefore the number aforesaid is fulfilled, the creature will not live again, for my Ruach is the creator of life, and Sheol will receive the dead. And again, it is given to you to hear what things are to come after these times, for truly my redemption has drawn nigh, and is not far distant, as aforetime. Chapter 24. For behold, the days come, and the Sephraim shall be opened, in which are written the sins of all those who have sinned, and again also treasuries, in which those righteous of all those who have been righteous in creation is gathered. For it shall come to pass at that time that you shall see, and the many that are with you, the long suffering of El-Yam, which has been throughout all generations, who has been long suffering towards all who are born, alike those who sin and those who are righteous. And I answered and said, But behold, O Yahuah, no one knows the number of those things which have passed, nor yet of those things which are to come. For I know indeed that which has befallen us, but what will happen to our enemies I know not, and when you will visit your works. Chapter 25. And he answered and said unto me, You too shall be preserved till the time till the signs which Al Elyon will work for the inhabitants of the earth in the end of days. This therefore shall be the sign, when a stupor shall seize the inhabitants of the earth, and they shall fall into many tribulations, and again when they shall fall into great torments, just like today. And it will come to pass, when they say in their thoughts by reason of their much tribulation, Al Elohim no longer remembers the Haaretz. Yea, it will come to pass, when they abandon hope, that the time will then awake. Great falling away. Chapter 26, and I answered and said, will that tribulation which is to come to be continue a long time? And will that necessity embrace many years? Chapter 27, and he answered and said unto me, into 12 parts is that time divided, and each one of them is reserved for that which is appointed for it. In the first part there shall be the beginnings of commotions, and in the second part there shall be the slaying of the great ones, and in the third part the fall of many by death, and in the fourth part the sending of the sword, and in the fifth part famine and withholding of rain, and in the sixth part earthquakes and terrors, wanting, and in the eighth part a multitude of specters and attacks by the Sheddaim, demonic Ruach Hakodesh, and in the ninth part the fall of fire, and in the 10th part rapine and much oppression, and in the 11th part wickedness and unchastity, and in the 12th part confusion from the mingling together of all those things aforesaid. For these parts of that time are reserved, and shall be mingled one with another, and minister one to another. For some shall leave out some of their own, and receive in its stead from others, and some complete their own, and that of others, so that those may not understand, who are upon Haaretz in those days, that this is the consummation of the times. Chapter 28. Nevertheless, whosoever understands shall then be wise. For the measure and reckoning of that time are 2 parts, a week of 7 weeks. And I answered and said, it is good for a man to come and behold, but it is better that he shall not come lest he fall. But I will say this also, will he who is incorruptible despise those things which are corruptible? And whatsoever befalls in the case of those things which are corruptible, so that he might look only to those things which are not corruptible. But if, O Yahuwah, those things shall be assuredly come to pass which you have foretold to me, so do you show this also unto me, if indeed I have found esteem in your sight. Is it in one place, or in one of the parts of Haaretz, that these things are to come to pass, or will the whole earth experience them? Chapter 29. And he answered and said unto me, whatsoever will then befall will befall the whole earth. Therefore all who live will experience them. For at that time I will protect only those who are found in those selfsame days in this land. And it shall come to pass, when all is accomplished, that was to come to pass in those parts, that Hamashiach shall then begin to be revealed. And Behemoth shall be revealed from his place, and Leviathan shall ascend from the sea, that 2 great monsters which I created on the 5th day of creation, and shall have kept until that time. And then they shall be for food for all that are left. The earth also shall yield its fruit 10,000-fold, and on each vine there shall be 1,000 branches, and each branch shall produce 1,000 clusters, and each cluster produce 1,000 grapes, and each grapes produce a core of wine. And those who have hungered shall rejoice. Moreover also they shall behold marvels every day. For wind shall go forth from before me, to bring every morning the fragrance of aromatic fruits. And at the close of the day clouds distilling the dew as health. And it shall come to pass at the same time that the treasury of manna shall again descend from on high, and they will eat of it in those years, because these are they who have come to the consummation of time. Chapter 30. And it shall come to pass after these things, when the time of the advent of Hamashiach is fulfilled, that he shall return in esteem. Then all who have fallen asleep in hope in him shall rise again. And it shall come to pass at that time that the treasuries will be opened, in which the preserved the number of the souls of the righteous, and they shall come forth. And a multitude of souls shall be seen together in one assemblage of one thought. And the first shall rejoice, and the last shall not be grieved. For they knew that the time has come of which it is said, that it is the consummation of the times. But the souls of the wicked, when they behold all these things, shall then waste away the more. For they shall know that their torment has come, and their perdition has arrived. Chapter 31. And it came to pass after these things that I went to the people and said unto them, Assemble unto me all you elders, and I will speak words unto you. And they all assembled in the valley of Kidron. And I answered and said unto them, Hear, O Yashar'Al, and I will speak to you, and give ear, O seed of Yaakov, and I will instruct you. Forget not Sion, but hold in remembrance the anguish of Yerushalayim, for lo, the days come when everything that is shall become the prey of the corruption, and be though as it had not been. Chapter 32. But as for you, if you prepare your hearts, so as to sow in them the fruits of the Torah, it shall protect you in that time in which Al Elohim is to shake the whole creation. Because after a little time the building of Sion will be shaken, in order that it may be built again. And that building will not remain, but will again after a time be rooted out, and will remain desolate until the time. And afterwards it must be renewed in esteem and perfected forevermore. Therefore we shall not be distressed so much over the evil which has now come as over that which is still to be. For there will be a greater trial than these two tribulations, when Al Elohim will renew his creation. And now do not draw near to me for a few days, nor seek me till I come to you. And it came to pass, when I had spoken to them all these words, that I, Baruk, went my way. And when the people saw me setting out, they lifted up their voice and lamented and said, Whither do you depart from us, Baruk, and forsake us as a father who forsakes his orphaned children, and depart from them? Chapter 33. Are these commands which your companion Yirmiyahu the prophet commanded you, and said unto you, Look to this people till I go and make ready the rest of the brethren in Babel, against whom has gone forth the sentence that they shall be led into captivity? And now, if you also forsake us, it were good for us all to die before you, than that you should withdraw from us. Chapter 34. And I answered and said, Far be it for me to forsake you, or to withdraw from you, but I will only go unto the Kodesh of Kodeshis. I don't know how to say that one. Kodeshim, to inquire of Al Elohim concerning you and concerning Sion, if in some respect I shall receive more illumination, and after these things I will return to you. Chapter 35. And I, Baruk, went to the Kodesh place, and sat down upon the ruins, and wept, and said, Oh, that my eyes were springs, and my eyelids a fountain of tears. For how shall I lament for Sion, and how shall I mourn for Yerushalayim? Because in that place where I am now prostrate, of old the high priest offered Kodesh sacrifices, and placed thereon an incense of fragrant odors. But now our esteeming has been made into dust, and the desire of our soul into sand. Chapter 36. And when I had said these things, I fell asleep, and I saw a vision in the night. And lo, a forest of trees planted on the plain, and lofty and rugged rocky mountains surrounding it. And the forest occupied much space, and lo, over against it arose a vine, and from under it there went forth a fountain peacefully. Now that fountain came to the forest and was stirred into great waves, and those waves submerged that forest, and suddenly they rooted out the greater part of the forest, and overthrew all the mountains which were round about it. And the height of the forest began to be made low, and the top of the mountains was made low, and the fountain prevailed greatly, so that it left nothing of that great forest save one cedar only. Also, when it had cast it down, and had destroyed and rooted out the greater part of the forest, so that nothing was left of it, nor could its place be recognized, then that vine began to come with the fountain in shalom and great tranquility, and it came to a place which was not far from the cedar, and they brought the cedar which had been cast down to it. And I beheld, and lo, the vine opened its mouth and spoke, and said to that cedar, Are you not the cedar which was left of the forest of wickedness, and by whose means wickedness persisted, and was wrought all those years, and goodness never? And you did keep conquering that which was not yours, and to that which was not yours you did never show compassion, and you did keep extending your power over those who were far from you, and those who drew nigh you. You did hold fast in the toils of your wickedness, and you did uplift yourself always as one that could not be rooted out. But now your time has sped, and your hour is come. Do also therefore depart, O cedar, after the forest which departed before you, and become dust with it, and let your ashes be mingled together. And now recline in anguish and rest in torment, till your last time come in, which you will come again, and be tormented still more. Chapter 37. And after these things I saw that cedar burning, and the vine growing itself all around it, and the plain full of unfading flowers, and I indeed awoke and arose. Chapter 38. And I prayed and said, O Yahuah, my Adonai, you do always enlighten those who are led by understanding. Your Torah is life, and your wisdom is right guidance. Make known to me, therefore, the interpretation of this vision, for you know that my soul has always walked in your Torah, and from my earliest days I departed not from your wisdom. Chapter 39. And he answered and said unto me, Baruk, this is the interpretation of the vision which you have seen. As you have seen the great forest with which lofty and rugged mountains surrounded, this is the world. Behold, the days come, and this kingdom will be destroyed, which once destroyed Sion, and it will be subjected to that which comes after it. Moreover, that also, again after a time, will be destroyed, and another, a third, will arise, and that will have dominion for its time, and will be destroyed. And after these things, a fourth kingdom will arise, whose power will be harsh and evil, far beyond those which were before it, and it will rule many times as the forest on the plain. And it will hold fast for times, and will exalt itself more than the cedars of Lebanon. And by it the truth will be hidden, and all those who are polluted with iniquity will flee to it, and evil beasts flee and creep into the forest. And it will come to pass, when the time of its consummation that it shall fall has approached, then the principate of my Mashiach will be revealed, which is like the fountain and the vine. And when it is revealed, it will root out the multitude of its hosts. And as touching that which you have seen, the lofty cedar, which was left of the forest, and the fact that the vine spoke those words with it, which you did hear, this is the word. Chapter 40. The last leader of that time will be left alive, when the multitude of hosts will be put to the sword, and he will be bound, and they will take him up to Mount Sion, and my Mashiach will convict him of all his impieties, and will gather and set before him all the works of his host. And afterwards he will put him to death, and protect the rest of my people, which shall be found in the place which I have chosen. And his principate will stand forever until the world of corruption is at an end, and until the times aforesaid are fulfilled. This is your vision, and this is its interpretation. Chapter 41. And I answered and said, For whom and for how many shall these things be? And who will be worthy to live at that time? For I will speak before you everything that I think, and I will ask you regarding those things which I meditate. For lo, I see many of your people who have withdrawn from your covenant, and cast from you the yoke of your Torah. But others again I have seen who have forsaken their vanity, and fled for refuge beneath your wings. What therefore will be to them, or how will the last time receive them? Or perhaps the time of these will assuredly be weighed, and as the beam inclines, will they be judged accordingly? Chapter 42. And he answered and said unto me, These things also will I show unto you. As for what you said, to whom will these things be, and how many will they be? To those who have delivered there shall be the good which was spoken of aforetime, and to those who despise there shall be the contrary of these things. And as for what you said regarding those who have drawn near and those who have withdrawn, this is the word. As for those who were before subject and afterwards withdrew and mingled themselves with the seed of mingled peoples, the times of these was the former, and was accounted as something exalted. And as for those who before knew not, but afterwards knew life, and mingled only with the seed of the people which had separated itself, the time of these is the latter, and is accounted as something exalted. And time shall succeed to time, and season to season, and one shall receive from another. And then with a view to the consummation shall everything be compared according to the measure of the times and the hours of the season. For corruption shall take those that belong to it, and life those that belong to it. And the dust shall be called, and there shall be said to it, Give back that which is not yours, and raise up all that you have kept until its time. 43. But you, Baruk, direct your heart to that which has been said to you, and understand those things which have been shown to you. For there are many eternal consolations for you. For you shall depart from this place, and you shall pass from the regions which are now seen by you, and you shall forget whatsoever is corruptible, and shall not again recall those things which happen among mortals. Go therefore, and command your people, and come to this place, and afterwards fast 7 days, and then I will come to you and speak with you. Chapter 44. And I, Baruk, went from thence, and came to my people, and called my firstborn son, and the Yahuahs, my friends, and 7 of the elders of the people, and I said unto them, Behold, I go unto my fathers according to the way of all the earth, but withdraw ye not from the way of Torah, but guard and admonish the people which remain, lest they withdraw from the commandments of all Elohim. For you see that he whom we serve is just, and our Creator is no respecter of persons. And see ye what has befallen Zion, and what has happened to Yerushalayim. For the judgment of all Elohim shall thereby be made known, and his ways, which though past finding out, are right. For if ye endure and persevere in his fear, and do not forget his Torah, the time shall change over you for good, and ye shall see the consolation of Zion. Because whatsoever is now is nothing, but that which shall be is very great. For everything that is corruptible shall pass away, and everything that dies shall depart, and all present time shall be forgotten. Nor shall there be any remembrance of the present time, which is defiled with evils. For that which runs now runs unto vanity, and that which prospers shall quickly fall and be humiliated. For that which is to be shall be the object of desire, and for that which comes afterward shall we hope. For it is a time that passes not away, and the hour comes which abides forever, and the new world comes which does not turn to corruptible those who depart to its blessedness, and has no mercy on those who depart to torment, and leads not to perdition those who live in it. For these are they who shall inherit the time which has been spoken of, and theirs is the inheritance of the promised time. These are they who have acquired for themselves treasures of wisdom, and with them are found stores of understanding, and from mercy have they not withdrawn, and the truth of the Torah have they preserved. For unto them shall be given the world to come, but the dwelling of the rest, who are many, shall be in fire. Chapter 45. Do ye therefore so far as you are able to instruct the people, for that labor is ours, for if you teach them, ye shall quicken them. Chapter 46. And my son and the elders of the people answered and said unto me, Has Al Elohim humiliated us to such a degree as to take you from us quickly? And truly we shall be in darkness, and there shall be no light to the people who are left. For where again shall we seek Torah? And who will distinguish for us between death and life? And I said unto them, The throne of Al Elohim I cannot resist. Nevertheless, there shall not be wanting to Yashar'Al a wise man, nor a son of the Torah to the seed of Yaakov. But only prepare ye your hearts, that ye may obey Torah, and be subject to those who in fear are wise and understanding, and prepare your souls that ye may not depart from them. For if you do these things, good news shall come unto you, which I before told you of. Nor shall ye fall into the torment of which I testified to you before. But with regards to the word that I was to be taken, I did not make it known to them or to my son. Chapter 47. And when I had gone forth and dismissed them, I went thence and said unto them, Behold, I go to Hebron, for thither Al Elohim has sent me. And I came to the place where the word had been spoken unto me, and I sat there, and I fasted 7 days. Chapter 48. And it came to pass, after the 7th day, that I prayed before Al Elohim, and said, O Yahuah, you summon the advent of the times, and they stand before you. You cause the power of the ages to pass away, and they do not resist you. You arrange the method of the season, and they obey you. You alone know the duration of the generation, and you reveal not your mysteries to many. You made known the multitude of the fire, and your weight, the lightness of the wind. You explore the limit of the heights, and you scrutinize the depths of the darkness. You care for the number which pass away, that they may be preserved, and you prepare an abode for those that are to be. You remember the beginning which you have made, the destruction that is to be. You forget not. With nods of fear and indignation you command the flames, and they change into Ruach, and with the word you quicken that which was not, and with mighty power you hold that which has not yet come. You instruct created things in the understanding of you, and you make wise the spheres as to ministers in their orders. Armies innumerable stand before you, and ministers in their orders quietly at your nod. Hear your servant and give ear to my petition, for in a little time are we born, and in a little time do we return. But with your hours are as a time, and days as generations. Be not therefore wroth with me. Be not therefore wroth with man, for he is nothing, and take not account of our works. For what are we? For lo, by your gift do we come into the world, and we depart not of our own will. For we said not to our parents, Begat us, nor did we send to Sheol and say, Receive us. What therefore is our strength, that we shall bear your wrath? Or what are we that we shall endure your judgment. Protect us in your compassion and in your mercy. Help us. Behold the little ones that are subject unto you, and save all that draw nigh unto you. And destroy not the hope of our people, and cut not short the times of our aid. For this is the nation which you have chosen, and these are the people to whom you find no equal. But I will speak now before you, and I will say as my heart thinks. In you do we trust, for lo, your Torah is with us, and we know that we shall not fall so long as we guard your statutes. To all time are we, Baruk at all events, in that this we have not mingled with the other nations. For we are all one celebrated people who have received one Torah from Al. And that Torah which is among us will aid us, and the surpassing wisdom which is in us will help us. And when I had prayed and said these things, I was greatly weakened. And he answered and said unto me, You have prayed simply, O Baruk, and all your words have been heard, but my judgment exacts its own, and my Torah exacts its rights. For from your words I will answer you, and from your prayer I will speak to you. For this is as follows: He that is corrupted is not at all. He that has both wrought iniquity so far as he could do anything, and has not remembered my goodness, nor accepted my long suffering. Therefore ye shall surely be taken up as I before told you. For that time shall arrive which brings affliction, for it shall come and pass by with quick vehemence, and it shall be turbulent, coming in that heat of indignation. And it shall come to pass in those days that all the inhabitants of the earth shall be moved one against another, because they know not my judgment has drawn nigh. For there shall not be found many wise at that time, and the intelligent shall be but a few. Moreover, even those who know shall most of all be silent, and there shall be many rumors, and tidings not a few, and the doings of phantasmata shall be manifest, and promises not a few be recounted. Some of them shall prove idle, and some of them shall be confirmed, and honor shall be turned into shame, and strength humiliated into contempt, and probity destroyed, and beauty shall become ugliness. And many shall say to many at that time, Where has the multitude of intelligence hidden itself, and whither has the multitude of wisdom removed itself? And while they are meditating on these things, then envy shall arise in those who had not thought aught of themselves, and passion shall seize him that is peaceful, and many shall be stirred up in anger to injure many. And they shall rouse up armies in order to shed blood, and in the end they shall perish together with them. And it shall come to pass at the self same time that a change of times shall manifestly appear to every man, because in all those times they polluted themselves, and they practiced oppression, and walked every man in his own works, and remembrance not the Torah of Elohim. Therefore a fire shall consume their thoughts, and in flames shall the meditations of their mind be tried. For the judge shall come, and will not tarry, because each of the inhabitants of the earth know when he was transgressing, but my Torah they knew not by reason of their pride. Many shall then assuredly weep, yea, over the living more than over the dead. And I answered and said, O Adam, what have you done to all those who are born from you? And what will be said to the first Yahuah who hearken to the serpent? For all this multitude are going to corruption, nor is there any numbering of those whom the fire devours. But again, I will speak in your presence. You, O Yahuah, my Adonai, know what is in your creation. For you did of old command the dust to produce Adam, and you know the number of those who are born from him, and how far they have sinned before you who have existed and not confessed you as their creator. And as regards all these, their end shall convict them, and your Torah, which they have transgressed, shall requite them on your day. But now let us dismiss the wicked and inquire about the righteous, and I will recount their barukedness, and not be silent in celebrating their esteem which is reserved for them. For assuredly as in a little time in this transitory world in which ye live, you have endured much labor, so in that world to which there is no end, you shall receive great light. Chapter 49. Nevertheless, I will again ask you, O Elohim, yea, I will ask mercy from him who made all things. In what shape will those live who live in your day? Or how will the splendor of those who are after that time continue? Will they then resume this form of the present and put on the entremelling members which are now involved in evil and in which evils are consummated? Or will you perchance change these things which have been in the world, as also the world? Chapter 50. And he answered and said unto me, Hear, Baruch, this word, and write in the remembrance of your heart all that you shall learn. For the earth shall then assuredly restore the dead, which it now receives, in order to preserve them. It shall make no change in their form, but as it receives, so shall it restore them. And as I delivered them unto it, so also shall it raise them. For then it will be necessary to show to the living that the dead have come to life again, and that those who had departed have returned again. Chesed Yahuah. And it shall come to pass, when they have severely recognized those whom they now know, then judgment shall grow strong, and those things which before were spoken of shall come. Chapter 51. And it shall come to pass, when that appointed day has gone, by that then shall the aspect of those who are condemned be afterwards changed, and the esteem of those who are justified. For the aspect of those who now act wickedly shall become worse than it is, and they shall suffer torment. Also, as for the esteem of those who have now been justified in my Torah, who have had understanding in their life, and who have planted in their heart the root of wisdom, then their splendor shall be esteemed in changes, and the form of their face shall be turned into the light of their beauty, that they may be able to acquire and receive the world which does not die, which is then promised to them. For over this, above all, shall those who have come then lament that they rejected my Torah, and stopped their ears, that they may not hear wisdom and receive understanding. When therefore they see those over whom they are now exalted, but who shall then be exalted and esteemed more than they shall respectively be transformed, the latter into the splendor of angels, and the former shall yet more waste away, in wonder at the visions, and in the beholding of the forms. For they shall first behold, and afterwards depart to be tormented. But those who have been saved by their works, and to whom the Torah has been now a hope and understanding and expectation and wisdom and confidence, shall wonders appear in their time. For they shall behold the world which is now invisible to them, and they shall behold the time which is now hidden from them, and time shall no longer age them. For in the heights of that world shall they dwell, and they shall be made like unto the angels, and be made equal to the stars, and they shall be changed into every form they desire, from beauty into loveliness, from light into splendor and esteem. For they shall be spread before them the extents of paradise, And there shall be shown to them the beauty and the majesty of the living creatures which are beneath the throne, and all the armies of the angels who are now held fast by my word, lest they shall appear, and are held fast by a command, that they may stand in the places till their advent comes. Moreover, there shall then be excellency in the righteous, surpassing that in the angels. For the first shall receive the last, those whom they were expecting, and the last those who they used to hear that they had passed away. For they have been delivered from this world of tribulation, and laid down the burden of anguish. For what then have men lost their life, and for what have those who were on the earth exchanged their soul? For then they chose not for themselves this time which beyond the reach of anguish could not pass away, but they chose for themselves that time whose issues are full of lamentation and evils. And they denied the world which ages not, those who come to it, and they rejected the time of esteem, so that they shall not come to the honor of which I told you before. Chapter 52. And I answered and said, how can we forget those from whom woe is then reserved? And why therefore do we again mourn for those who die? And why do we weep for those who depart to Sheol? Let lamentation be reserved for the beginning of that coming torment, and let tears be laid up for the advent of the destruction of that time. But even in the face of these things will I speak, and as for the righteous, what will they do now? Rejoice ye in the suffering which ye now suffer, for why do you look to the decline of your enemies? Make ready your soul for that which is reserved for you, and prepare your souls for the reward which is laid up for you. Chapter 53. And when I had said these things, I fell asleep there, and I saw a vision, and lo, a cloud was ascending from a very great sea. And I kept gazing upon it, and lo, it was full of water, white and black, and there were many colors in those selfsame waters, and as it were the likeness of great lightning was seen at its summit. And I saw the cloud passing swiftly in quick courses, and it covered all Haaretz. And it came to pass after these things that the cloud began to pour upon the earth the waters that were in it. And I saw that there was not one, and the same likeness in the waters which descended from it. For in the first beginning they were black, and many for a time, and afterwards I saw that the waters became bright, that they were not many, and after these things again I saw black waters, and after these things again bright, and again black, and again bright, how this was done 12 times. But the black were always more numerous than the bright. And it came to pass at the end of the cloud that, lo, it rained black waters, and they were darker than had been all the waters that were before, and fire was mingled with them. And where those waters descended, they brought devastation and destruction. And after these things I saw how that lightning which I had seen on the summit of the cloud seized hold of it, and hurled it to Haaretz. Now that lightning shone exceedingly, so as to illuminate the whole earth, and it healed those regions where the last waters had descended and wrought devastation. And it took hold of the whole Haaretz, and had dominion over it. And I saw after these things, and lo, 12 rivers were ascending from the sea, and they began to surround that lightning, and to become subject to it. And by reason of my fear I awoke. 54. And I besought Al Elohim, and said, you alone, O Yahuah, know of aforetime the deep things of the world, and the things which befall in their times you bring about by your word. And against the works of the inhabitants of the earth you hasten the beginnings of the times, and the end of the seasons you alone know. You for whom nothing is too hard, but who does everything easily by a nod. You to whom the depths come as the heights, and whose word the beginnings of the ages serve. You who reveal to those who fear you what is prepared for them, that thenceforth they may be comforted. You show great acts to those who know not. You break up the enclosures of those who are ignorant and light up what is dark and reveal what is hidden to the pure, who in faith have submitted themselves to you and your Torah. You have shown to your servant the vision. Reveal to me also its interpretation. For I know that as regarding those things wherein I besought you, I have received a response, and as regards what I have besought you did reveal to me with what voice I should praise you, and from what members I shall cause praise and hallelujahs to ascend to you. For if my members were mouths, and the hairs of my head voices, even so I could not give you the meat of praise, nor laud you as befitting, nor could I recount your praise, nor tell the esteem of your beauty. For what am I amongst men, or why am I reckoned amongst those who are more excellent than I that have heard all these marvelous things from Al Elyon and numberless promises for him who created me? Baruk be my mother among those that bear, and praised among women be she that bore me. For I will not be silent in praising Al Elohim, and with the voice of praise I will recount his marvelous deeds. For who does like unto your marvelous deeds, O Elohim, or who comprehends your depths, your deep thought of life? For with your counsel you do govern all the creatures which your right hand has created, and you have established every fountain of light beside you, and the treasures of wisdom beneath your throne have you prepared. And justly do they perish who have not loved your Torah, and the torment of judgment shall await those who have not submitted themselves to your power. For though Adam first sinned and brought ultimately death upon all, yet of those who were born from him, each one of them has prepared for his own soul torment to come, and again each one of them has chosen for himself esteems to come. For assuredly he who believes will receive reward. But now as for you, ye wicked that now are, turn ye to destruction, because you shall speedily be visited, in that formerly you rejected the understanding of all Elohim. Good. Okay. For his works have not taught you, nor has the skill of his creation, which is at all times persuaded you. Adam is therefore not the cause, save only of his own soul. But each of us has been the Adam of his own soul.
Ho, ho, ho.
But you, O Yahuah, do expound to me regarding those things which you have revealed to me, and inform me regarding that which I besought you. For at the consummation of the world, vengeance shall be taken upon those who have done wickedness according to their wickedness, and you will esteem the faithful according to their faithfulness. For those who are amongst your own you rule, and those who sin you blot out from amongst your own. Chapter 55. And it came to pass, when I had finished speaking the words of this Palal, that I sat there under a tree, that I might rest in the shade of the branches. And I wondered and was astonished, and pondered in my thoughts regarding the multitude of goodness which sinners who are upon Haaretz have rejected, and regarding the great torment which they have despised, though they knew that they shall be tormented because of the sin that they had committed. And when I was pondering on these things and the like, lo, the angel Ramiel, the angel who presides over true visions, was sent to me, and he said unto me, Why does your heart trouble you, Baruk? And why do your thoughts disturb you? For if, owing to the report which you have only heard of judgment, you are so moved, what will you be when you shall see it manifestly with your eyes? And if with the expectation wherewith you do expect the day of Elohim, you are so overcome, what will you be when you shall come to its advent? Great question. And if at the word of the announcement of the torment of those who have done foolishly, you are so completely distraught, how much more when the event will reveal marvelous things, and if you have heard tidings of the good and evil things which are then coming and are grieved, what will you be when you shall behold what the majesty will reveal, which shall convict these and cause those to rejoice? Chapter 56. Nevertheless, because you have besought Al-Elyon to reveal to you the interpretation of the vision which ye have seen, I have been sent to tell you. And Al-Elohim has assuredly made known to you the methods of the times that have passed, and of those that are destined to pass in his world from the beginning of its creation even unto its consummation, of those things which are deceit and of those which are in truth. For as you did see a great cloud which ascended from the sea and went and covered Haaretz, this is the duration of the world which Elohim made when he took counsel to make the world. And it came to pass when the world had gone forth from his presence, that the duration of the world had come into being in a smaller degree, and when it is established according to the multitude of the intelligence of him who sent it. And as you did previously see on the summit of the cloud, black waters which descended previously on Haaretz, this is transgression wherewith Adam the first man transgressed. For since when he transgressed ultimately death came into being, grief was named, and anguish was prepared, and pain was created, and trouble consummated, and disease began to be established, and Sheol kept demanding that it shall be renewed in blood, and the beginning of children was brought about, and the passion of parents produced, and the greatness of man was humiliated, and goodness languished. What therefore can be blacker and darker than these things? This is the beginning of the black waters which you have seen. And from these black waters again were black derived, and the darkness of darkness produced. For he became a danger to his own soul. Even to the angels became he a danger. For moreover, that time when he was created, they enjoyed liberty, and some of them descended and mingled with the women. And then those who did so were tormented in chains. But the rest of the multitude of angels, of which there is no number, restrained themselves. And those who dwelt on Haaretz perished together with them through the waters of the deluge. These are the black first waters, chapter 57. And after these waters you did see bright waters. This is the fount of Abraham, also his generation and advent of his sons and of his sons' sons, and of those like them. Because at that time the unwritten Torah was named amongst them, and the works of the commandments were then fulfilled, and belief in the coming judgment was then generated, and hope of the world that was to be renewed was then built up, and the promise of life that should come hereafter was implanted. These are the bright waters which ye have seen. Chapter 58. And the black third waters which you have seen, these are the mingling of all sins which the nations afterwards wrought after the death of those righteous men, and the wickedness of the land of Mitzrayim, wherein they did wickedly in the service wherewith they made their sons to serve. Nevertheless, these also perished at last. Chapter 59. And the bright fourth waters which you have seen are the advent of Moshe and Aaron and Miriam and Yahusha, the son of Nun, and Chalef, and of all those like them. For at that time the lamp of the eternal Torah shone on all those who sat in darkness, which announced to them that believe the promise of their reward, and to them that deny the torment of fire which is reserved for them. But also the heavens at that time were shaken from their place, and those who were under the throne of Elohim were perturbed when he was taking Moshe unto himself. For he showed him many abominations together with the principles of the Torah and the consummation of the times, as also to you, and likewise the patterns of Zion and its measure, in the pattern of which the sanctuary of the present time was to be made. But then also he showed to him the measure of fire, also the depths of the abyss, the weight of the wind, the number of the drops of rain, and the suppression of anger, the multitude of long-suffering, the truth of judgment, and the root of wisdom, the riches of understanding, the fount of knowledge, the height of the air, the greatness of paradise, the consummation of the ages, the beginning of the day of judgment, the number of the offerings, and the earth which have not yet come, the mouth of Sheol, and the station of vengeance, and the place of faith, and the reign of hope, and the likeness of future torment, and the multitude of innumerable angels, and the flaming hosts, and the splendor of lightning, and the voice of thunders, and the orders of the chiefs of the angels, and the treasuries of light, and the changes of the times, and the investigations of Torah. These are the bright fourth waters which you have seen. Chapter 60. Then the black fifth waters which you have seen raining are the works of the Amoraim. Amoraim, probably a patronymic form, unused name, mountaineers, Canaanites. How cool is that?
You hear that?
That is so cool. Hallelujah. Okay.
My racial is happening.
And the spells of their incantations which they wrought, and the wickedness of their mysteries, and the mingling of their pollution. But even Yashar'Al was then polluted by sins in the days of the judges, though they saw many signs which were from him who made them. Chapter 61. And the bright sixth waters which you did see, this is the time which David and Shalom were born. And there was that time the building of Zion, and the dedication of the sanctuary, and the shedding of much blood of the nations that sinned then, and many offerings which were offered then, in the dedication of the sanctuary. And shalom and tranquility existed at that time, and wisdom was heard in the assembly, and the riches of understanding were magnified in the assemblies, and the Kodesh feasts were fulfilled in blessedness and in much joy. And the judgment of the rulers was then seen to be without guile, and the righteousness of the precepts of Elohim was accomplished with truth. And the land which was then beloved by Yahuah, and because its inhabitants sinned not, it was glorified beyond all lands, and the city Sion ruled then over all lands and regions. These are the bright waters which you have seen. Chapter 61. Chapter 62. And the black seventh waters which you have seen, this is the perversion brought about by the counsel of Jeroboam, who took counsel to make 2 calves of gold, and all the iniquities which kings who were after him iniquitously wrought, and the curse of Jezebel, and the worship of idols which Yashar'Al practiced at that time, and the withholding of rain, and the famines which occur until women eat the fruit of their wombs,
Yikes.
and the time their captivity which came upon the 9 tribes and a half, because they were in many sins, and Shalmaneser, king of Ashur, came and led them away captive. But regarding the other nations, it were tedious to tell how they always wrought impiety and wickedness and never wrought righteousness. These are the black 7th waters which you have seen, chapter 63, and the bright 8th waters which you have seen. This is the rectitude of a brightness of Yahu, king of Yahudah, and the esteem of Elohim which came upon him. For when Sennacherib, of foreign origin, king of Ashur, was stirred up in order that he might perish, and his wrath troubled him in order that he might thereby perish, for the multitude also of the nations which were with him.
Hammurabi. The code of Hammurabi. There we go, right there.
When, moreover, Yahu, the king, heard those things which the king of Ashur was devising, that he was coming to seize him and destroy his people, and 2.5 tribes which remained, nay, more, he wished to overthrow Sion. Also then Yahu trusted in his works, and had hope in his righteousness, and spoke with Elohim, and said, Behold, for lo, Sennacherib, how you say it? Sennacherib is prepared to destroy us, and he will be boastful and uplifted when he has destroyed Sion. And Elohim heard him, for Yahu was wise, and he had respect unto his prayers, because he was righteous. And thereupon Elohim commanded Ramiel, his angel, who speaks with him. And he went forth and destroyed their multitude, the number of whose chiefs only was 185,000, and each one of them had an equal number at his command. And at that time I burned their bodies within, but their raiment and arms I preserved outwardly, in order that the still more wonderful deeds of Elohim might appear, and that thereby his name might be spoken of throughout the entire Charetz. Sion was saved, Yerushalayim delivered, Yashar'Al also freed from tribulation, and all those who were in the esteemed land rejoiced, and the name of Elohim was glorified, so that it was spoken of. These are the bright waters which you have seen, chapter 64, and the black 9th waters which you have seen. This is all the wickedness which was in the days of Manasseh, the sons of Yahu, for he wrought, and he slew the righteous, and he perverted judgment, and he shed the blood of the innocent, and wedded women violently polluted. He overturned the altars, and destroyed their offerings, and drove forth their priests, lest they shall minister in the sanctuary. He made an image with 5 faces. 4 of them looked to the 4 winds, and the 5th on the summit of the image was an adversary of the zeal of Elohim. And then wrath went forth from the presence of Elohim, to the intent that Sion should be rooted out, as also it befell in your days. But also against the 2 tribes and a half went forth a decree, that they should also be led away captive, as you have now seen, and to such a degree that the impiety of Manasseh increased, that it removed the praise of Al-Elyon from the sanctuary. On this account, Manasseh was at that time named the Impious, and finally his abode was in the fire. For though his prayer was heard with Al-Elyon, finally when he was cast in the brazen horse, and the brazen horse was melted, it served as a sign unto him for the hour. For he had not lived perfectly, for he was not worthy, but that thenceforward he might know by whom finally he shall be tormented. For he who is able to benefit is also able to torment.
I'm still tripping
Chapter
on the one that was like.
Chapter 65. Thus, moreover, did Manasseh act impiously, and thought that in his time Al-Elohim would not inquire into these things. These are the black ninth waters which ye have seen. Chapter 66. And the bright 10th waters which you have seen, this is the purity of the generations of Yoshiyahu, king of Yehudah, who was the only one at the time who submitted himself to Al-Elohim with all his heart and with all his soul. And he cleansed the land from idols, hallelujah, and sanctified all the vessels which had been polluted, and restored the offerings to the altar, and raised the horn of the Kodesh, and exalted the righteous, and honored all that were wise and understanding, and brought back the priests to their ministry, and destroyed and removed the magicians and enchanters and necromancers from the land. Hallelujah. Not only did he slay the impious that were living, but they also took from the sepulchres the bones of the dead and burned them with fire. And the feasts and Shabbats he established in their sanctity, and their polluted ones he burnt in the fire. And the lying prophets which deceived the people, these also he burnt in the fire. And the people who listened to them when they were living, he cast them into the brook Kidron, and heaped stones upon them. And he was zealous with zeal for Al-Elohim with all his soul. He alone was firm in the Torah at that time, so that he left none that was uncircumcised, or that wrought impiety in all the land, all the days of his life. Therefore he shall receive an eternal reward, and he shall be esteemed with Al-Elohim beyond many at a latter time. For on his account and on account of those who are like him were the honorable glories of which you were told before, created and prepared. These are the bright waters which you have seen, chapter 67, and the black 11th waters which you have seen. This is the calamity which is now befalling Zion. Do you think that there is no anguish to the angels in the presence of Al-Elohim, that Zion was so delivered up, and that, lo, the other nations boast in their hearts, and assemble before their idols, and say, she is trodden down who oft times trod down, and she has been reduced that servitude that reduced others. Do you think that in these things Al-Elyon rejoices, or that his name is esteemed? But how will it serve towards his righteous judgment? Yet after these things shall the dispersed among the other nations be taken hold of by tribulation, and in shame shall they dwell in every place. Because so far as Zion is delivered up, and Yerushalayim laid waste, shall idols prosper in the cities of their nations, in the cities of the other nations, and the vapor of the smoke of the incense of the righteousness, which is by the Torah, is extinguished in Zion. And in the reign of Zion, in every place, lo, there is the smoke of impiety. But the king of Babel will arise, who has now destroyed Zion, and he will boast over the people, and he will speak great things in his heart, in the presence of Al-Elyon. But he also shall fall at last. These are the black waters. Chapter 68. And the bright 12th waters which you have seen, this is the word. For after these things a time will come when your people shall fall into distress, so that they shall all run the risk of perishing together. Nevertheless, they will be saved, and their enemies will fall in their presence, and they will have in due time much joy. And at that time, after a little interval, Zion will again be built, and its offerings will again be restored, and the priests will return to their ministry, and also the other nations will come to esteem it. Nevertheless, not fully as in the beginning, but it will come to pass after these things that there will be the fall of many nations. These are the bright waters which you have seen. Chapter 69. For the last waters which you have seen, which were darker than all that were before, those which were after the 12th number, which were collected together, belonging to the entire world, for Al-Alyan made division from beginning, because he also knows what will befall. For as to the enormities and the impieties which should be wrought before him, he foresaw 6 kinds of them, and of the good works of the righteous which shall be accomplished before him, he foresaw 6 kinds of them, beyond those which he shall work at the consummation of the age. On his account there were not black waters with black, nor bright with bright, for it is the consummation. Chapter 70. Hear therefore the interpretation of the last black waters which are to come after the black. This is the word. Behold, the days come, and it shall be, when the time of the age has ripened, and the harvest of its evil and good seed has come, that Al-Elohim will bring upon Charetz its inhabitants and upon its rulers perturbation of Ruach and stupor of heart. And they shall hate one another and provoke one another to fight. And the mean shall rule over the honorable, and those of low degree shall be extolled above the famous. And the many shall be delivered into the hands of the few, and those who were nothing shall rule over the strong. And the poor shall have abundance beyond the rich, and the impious shall exalt themselves above the heroic. And the wise shall be silent, and the foolish shall speak. Neither shall the thought of men be then confirmed, nor the counsel of the mighty, nor shall the hope of those who hope be confirmed. And when those things which were predicted have come to pass, then shall confusion fall upon all men. Some of them shall fall in battle, some of them shall perish in anguish, and some of them shall be destroyed by their own. Then Al-Alyan will reveal those people whom he has prepared before, and they shall come and make war with the leaders that shall then be left. When it shall come to pass that whatsoever gets safe out of the war shall die in the earthquake, and whatsoever gets safe out of the earthquake shall be burned by the fire, and whosoever gets safe out of the fire shall be destroyed by the famine. And it shall come to pass that whatsoever of the victors and the vanquished gets safe out and escape all these things aforesaid will be delivered into the hands of my servant Mashiach. For all the earth shall devour its inhabitants. Chapter 71. And the Kodesh land shall have mercy on its own, and it shall protect its inhabitants at that time. This is the vision which you have seen, and this is the interpretation. For I have come to tell you these things because your prayer has been heard by Al-Alyan. Chapter 72. Hear now also regarding the bright lightning which is to come at the consummation after these black waters. This is the word. After the signs have come, of which you were told before, when the nations become turbulent, and the time of my Mashiach is come, he shall both summon all the nations, and some of them he shall spare, and some of them he shall slay. These things therefore shall come upon the nations which are to be spared by him. Every nation which knows not Yashar'Al, and has not trodden down the seed of Yaakov, shall indeed be spared. This because some of every nation shall be subject to your people. But all those who have ruled over you, or have known you, shall be given up to the sword. Chapter 73. And it shall come to pass, when he has brought low everything that is in the world, and he sat down in Shalom for the age of the throne of the kingdom, that joy shall then be revealed, and rest shall appear. And healing shall descend in dew, and disease will withdraw, anxiety and anguish and lamentation pass from among men, gladness proceed throughout the entire Haaretz. And no one shall again die untimely, nor shall any adversity suddenly befall.
Extra woohoo.
Judgment and ravelings and contentions and revenges and blood and passion and envy and hatred, and whatsoever things are like these shall go into condemnation when they are removed. For it is these very things which have filled the world with evils, on account of the life of man has been greatly troubled. Wild beasts shall come from the forest and minister unto men. Asps and dragons shall come forth from their holes to submit themselves to a little child. Women shall no longer have pain when they bear, nor shall they suffer torment when they yield the fruit of the womb. Chapter 74. And it shall come to pass in those days that the reaper shall not grow weary, nor those that build by toil worn, for the work shall themselves speedily advance together with those who do them in much tranquility.
Advance.
For that time in the consummation of which is corruptible, the beginning of that which is not corruptible. Therefore those things which were predicted shall belong to it. Therefore it is far away from evils and near to the things which die not. This is a bright lightning which came after the last dark waters. Chapter 75. And I answered and said, Who can understand, O Yahuah, your goodness? For it is incomprehensible. Or who can search into your compassions, which are infinite? Who can comprehend your intelligence? Who is able to recount the thoughts of your mind? Who of those who are born can hope to come to those things, unless he is one to whom you are merciful and
Full of chesed.
full of chesed? Because if assuredly you did not have compassion on one man, those who are under your right hand, they could not come to those things, but those who are in the numbers named can be called.
The numbers named
Yeah.
be called. Many are called, few are chosen.
Yeah. But if indeed we who existed know wherefore we have come, and submit ourselves to him who brought us out of Mizraim, we shall come again and remember those things which have passed, and shall rejoice regarding that which has been.
Submit ourselves to Moshe.
But if now we know not wherefore we have come, and recognize not the principate of him who brought us up out of Mizraim, we shall come again and seek after those things which have been now, and be grieved with pain because of those things which have befallen. Chapter 76. And he answered and said unto me, Insomuch as the revelation of this vision has been interpreted to you, as besought, hear the word of Al Elohim, that you may know what is to befall you after these things. For you shall surely depart from this Haaretz, nevertheless not unto death, but you shall be preserved unto the consummation of the times. Go up therefore to the top of the mountain, and there shall pass before you all the regions of that land, and the figure of the inhabited world, and the tops of the mountains, and the depths of the valleys, and the depths of the seas, and the number of the rivers, that you may see what you are leaving, and whither you are going. Now this shall befall after 40 days. Go now therefore during these days, and instruct the people as far as you are able, that they may learn, so as to not die at the last time, but may learn in order that they may live at the last times. Chapter 77. And I beheld, and I, Baruk, went thence and came to the people, and assembled them together from the greatest to the least, and said unto them, Hear ye, children of Yashar'Al, behold now, many ye are who remain of the 12 tribes of Yashar'Al, For unto you and to your fathers Yahuwah gave a Torah more excellent than to all peoples. And because your brethren transgressed the commandments of Al Elyon, he brought vengeance upon you and upon them, and he spared not the former, and the latter also he gave into captivity, and he left not a remnant of them. But behold, you are here with me. If therefore you direct your ways aright, you also shall not depart as your brethren departed, but they shall come to you. For he is merciful whom you worship, and he is full of chesed in whom ye hope, and he is true, so that he shall do good and not evil. Have you not seen here what has befallen Sion? Or do you perchance think that the place had sinned, and that on this account it was overthrown, or that the land had wrought foolishness, and that therefore it was delivered up? Know ye not that on account of you who did sin, that which sinned was not overthrown, and on account of those who wrought wickedly, that which wrought not foolishness was delivered upon his enemies? And the whole people answered and said unto me, so far as we can recall the good things which Al Elohim has done unto us, we do recall them, and those things which we do not remember, he in his mercy knows. Nevertheless, do this for us, your people. Write also to our brethren in Babel a sefer, a doctrine, a scroll of hope, that you may confirm them also before you depart from us. For the shepherds of Yashar'Al have perished, and the lamps which gave light are extinguished, and the fountains have withheld the streams whence we used to drink. We're left in the darkness amidst trees of forest, and we thirst in the wilderness. And I answered and said unto them, shepherds and lamps and fountains come from Torah. And though we depart, yet Torah abides. If therefore ye have respect to the Torah, and are intent upon wisdom, a lamp will not be wanting, and a shepherd will not fail, and a fountain will not dry up. It's like the third time he's told them, you have everything you need, you just need to obey it.
When you think about it, I think Baruk is probably, Ezra's about that same time, just before is probably, they probably knew each other.
Nevertheless, as you said unto me, I will write also unto your brethren in Babel, and I will send by means of men, and I will write in like manner to the 9 tribes and a half, and send by means of a bird. And it came to pass on the 21st day in the 8th month, 21st day of the 8th month, I, Baruk, came and sat down under the oak, under the shadow of the branches, and no man was with me, but I alone. And I wrote these 2 Sepharim, one I sent by an eagle to the 9½ tribes, and the other I sent to those that were in Babel by means of 3 men. And I called the eagle, and spoke these words unto it. Al Elyon has made you, that you shall be higher than all birds. Now go, tarry not in any place, nor enter into a nest, nor settle upon a tree, till you have passed over the breadth of the many waters of the river of Parath, and have gone to the people that dwell there. Cast down to them this sefer. Remember, moreover, that at the time of the deluge, Noach received from a dove the fruit of the olive when he sent forth from the ark. Yea, also, the Aravim ministered to Eliyahu, bearing him food, as they have been commanded. Shalom also, in the time of his kingdom, whithersoever he wished to send or seek anything, commanded a bird to go thither, and it obeyed him, as he had commanded it. Now let it not weary you, turn not to the right hand, nor to the left, but fly and go by the direct way, that you may guard the command of Al Elohim, according as I have said unto you. Chapter 78. These are the words of the Sefer which Baruk the son of Neriyahu sent to the 9.5 tribes which were across the river Parath, in which these things were written. Thus says Baruk the son of Neriyahu to the brethren carried into captivity, Chesed and Shalom I bear in mind, my brethren, the love of him who created us, who loved us from old, never hated us, but above all educated us. Truly I know that, behold, all we the 12 tribes are bound by one bond, insomuch as we are born from one Father. Wherefore I have been the more cheerful to leave you the words of this Sefer before I die, that you may be comforted regarding the evils which have come upon you, and that you may be grieved also regarding the evil that has befallen your brethren. You again also, that you may be justified in his judgment, which he has decreed against you, that you should be carried away captive, for what you have suffered is disproportionate to what you have done, in order that at the last times you may be found worthy of your fathers. Therefore, if you consider that you have now suffered those things for your good, that you may not finally be condemned and tormented, then you will receive eternal hope. If above all you destroy from your hearts vain error, on account of which ye departed hence. For if you so do these things, he will continually remember you, he who always promised on our behalf to those who were more excellent than we, that he will never forget or forsake us. But with much mercy will gather together again those who were dispersed. Chapter 79. Now, my brethren, learn first what befell Sion, how that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, came up against us. For we have sinned against him who made us, and we have not kept the commandments which he commanded us, yet he has not chastened us as we deserved. For what befell you will also suffer in preeminent degree, for it befell us also. Chapter 80. Now, my brethren, I make known unto you that when the enemy has surrounded the city, the angels of Alyan were sent. They overthrew the fortifications of the strong wall, and they destroyed the firm iron corners which could not be rooted out. Nevertheless, they hid all the vessels of the sanctuary, lest the enemy shall get possession of them. And when they had done these things, they delivered thereupon the enemy the overthrown wall, plundered house, burnt temple, the people who were overcome because they were delivered up, lest the enemy shall boast and say, Thus by force have we been able to lay waste even to the house of Al-Elyon in war. Your brethren also have they bound and led away to Babel, caused them to dwell there. But we've been left here, being very few. This is the tribulation about which I wrote to you. For assuredly I know that the consolation of the inhabitants of Sion console you, so far as ye know that it was prospered, your consolation was greater than the tribulation which ye endured in having to depart from it. Chapter 81. But regarding consolation, hear ye the word. For I was mourning regarding Sion, and I prayed for mercy from Al-Elyon, and he said, How long will these things endure for us, and will these evils come upon us always? And Al-Elohim did according to the multitude of his mercies, Al-Elyon according to the greatness of his compassion, and he revealed unto me that word, that I might receive consolation, and he showed me visions, that I shall not again endure anguish, and he made known to me the mystery of the times, and the advent of the hours he showed to me. Chapter 82. Therefore, my brethren, I have written to you that ye may comfort yourselves regarding the multitude of your tribulations. For know ye that our Maker will assuredly avenge us on all our enemies according to all that they have done to us. Also that consummation which Al-Elyon will make is very nigh, and his mercy that is coming and his consummation of his judgment is by no means far off. For lo, we see now the multitude of the prosperity of the other nations, though they act impiously, but they shall be like a vapor. We behold the multitude of their power, though they do wickedly, but they shall be made like unto a drop. We see the firmness of their might, though they resist Al Elohim every hour, but they shall be accounted as spittle. We consider the esteem of their greatness, though they do not guard the statutes of Al Elyon, but as smoke they will pass away. We meditate on the beauty of their gracefulness, though they have to do with pollutions, but as grass that withers shall they fade away. We consider the strength of their cruelty, though they remember not the end thereof, but as a wave that passes shall they be broken. And we remark the boastfulness of their might, though they deny the beneficence of Elohim, who gave it to them, but they shall pass away as a passing cloud. Chapter 83. For Al Elyon will assuredly hasten his times. He will bring assuredly, and he will assuredly bring on his hours. He will assuredly judge those who are in his world, and will visit in truth all things by means of all their hidden works. He will assuredly examine the secret thoughts, that which is laid up in secret chambers of all the members of man, and will make them manifest in the presence of all with reproof. Let none therefore of the present things ascend into your hearts, but above all, let us be expectant, because that which is promised to us shall come. Let us not now look unto the delights of the other nations in the present, but let us remember what has been promised to us in the end. For the ends of the times and of the seasons, and whatsoever is with them, shall assuredly pass by together. The consummation, moreover, of the age shall then show the great might of its ruler, when all things come to judgment. Do ye therefore prepare your hearts for that which before ye believed, lest ye come to be in bondage in both worlds, so that ye be led away captive here and tormented there. For that which exists now, or which has passed away, or which is to come, in all things, neither is the evil fully evil, nor again the good fully good. For all the healthiness of this time turning into disease, and all the might of this time is turning into weakness, and all the force of this time is turning into impotence. Every energy of youth is turning into old age, consummation, and every beauty of this time is turning in faded and hateful. Every proud dominion of the present is turning into humiliation and shame. Every praise of the esteem of this time is turning into shame and silence. Every vain splendor of insolence of this time is turning into voiceless ruin. Every delight and joy of this time is turning into worms and corruption. Every clamor of pride in this time is turning into dust and stillness. Every possession of richness in this time is being turned into the grave alone. All the raffine of passion of the time is turning into involuntary death. Every passion and lust is turning into judgment and torment. Every artifice and craftiness of this time is turning into proof of the truth. Every sweetness and every sweetness of unguents of this time is turning into judgment and condemnation. And every love of lying is turning into contumely through truth. Since therefore all these things are done now, does anyone think that they will not be avenged? But the consummation of all things will come to the truth. Chapter 84. Behold, I have therefore made known unto you these things while I live, for I have said it, that you shall learn the things that are excellent. For Al Elohim has commanded me to instruct you, and I will set before you some of the commandments of his judgment before I die. Remember that formerly Moshe assuredly called heaven and earth to witness against you, and said, if you transgress the Torah, you shall be dispersed, but if you guard it, you shall be guarded. And other things also he used to say unto you, when ye the 12 tribes were together in the desert, and after his death ye cast them away from you. On this account there came upon you what had been predicted. And Moshe used to tell you before they befell you, and lo, they have befallen you. For you have forsaken Torah, Lo, I also say unto you, after ye have suffered, that if you obey those things which have been said unto you, you will receive from Al Elohim whatsoever has been laid up and reserved for you. Moreover, let this sefer be for a testimony between me and you, that you may remember the commandments of Al Elohim, and that also they may be to me a defense in the presence of him who sent me. And remember ye the Torah and Sion, and the Kodesh land, and your brethren, and the covenant of your fathers, and forget not the feasts and the Shabbats, and deliver ye the Sefer and the truth of Torah to your sons after you, and also your fathers delivered as also your fathers delivered them to you, and at all times make request perseveringly and pray diligently with your whole heart, that Al Elohim may be reconciled to you, and that he may not reckon the multitude of your sins, but remember the rectitude of your fathers. For if he judge us not according to the multitude of his mercies, woe unto all of us who are born. Chapter 85. Know ye moreover that the former times and in the generation of old our fathers had helpers, righteous men, Kodesh prophets, nay more, we were in our own land, and they helped us when we sinned, and they interceded for us with him who made us, because they trusted in their works, and Al Elohim heard their prayer and forgave us. But now the righteous have been gathered, and the prophets have fallen asleep, and we also have gone forth from the land, and Sion has been taken from us, and we have nothing now save Al Elohim and his Torah. If therefore we direct and dispose our hearts, we shall receive everything that we lost, and much better things than we lost by many times. For what we have lost was subject to corruption, and what we shall receive shall not be corruptible. Hallelujah. Moreover also, I have written thus to our brethren to Babel, that to them also I may attest these very things. Let all things aforesaid be also before your eyes, because we are still in the Ruach and the power of our liberty. Again, moreover, El Elyon, also long-suffering towards us here, he has shown to us which is to be, and has not concealed from us what will befall in the end. Before therefore judgment exact its own, and truth that which is its due, let us prepare our soul, that we may possess and not be taken possession of, that we may hope and not be put to shame, that we may rest with our fathers and not be tormented with our enemies. For the youth of the world is past, and the strength of the creation already exhausted, and the advent of the time is very short. Yea, they have passed by, and the pitcher is near to the cistern, and the ship to the port, and the course of the journey to the city, and life to its consummation. And again, prepare your souls, so that when ye sail and ascend from the ship, you may have rest, and not be condemned when ye depart. For lo, when Al Elyon will bring to pass all these things, there shall not there be again a place of repentance, nor a limit to the times, nor a duration to the hours, nor a change of ways, nor a place for prayer, nor sending of petition, nor receiving of knowledge, nor giving of love, nor place of repentance for the soul, nor supplication for offenses, nor intercession for the fathers, nor prayer of the prophet, nor help of the righteous. For there is the sentence of corruption, the way of fire, the path which brings to Sheol. On this account, there is one Torah by one age, an end for all who are in it. Then he will guard those whom he can forgive, and at the same time, destroy those who are polluted with sins. Chapter 86. When therefore ye receive this my sefer, read it to your assemblies with care. Meditate thereon above all the days of your fasts. Bear me in mind by means of this sefer. I also bear you in mind in it, and always fare ye well. Chapter 87. And it came to pass, when I had ended all the words of the Sefer, and had written it sedulously to its close, that I folded it, sealed it carefully, bound it to the neck of the eagle, and dismissed and sent it. Thus ends the reading of 2nd Baruk.